You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios, brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. It's time now for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone reliable and effective, give owner Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
Do you need products to successfully run your rental property business? Interested in a class about fair housing or rekeying locks? Want to use the plain language lease that is used by the majority of rental property owners in Minnesota? Then you should visit mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com. That's the website for the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association, the most comprehensive resource in the state for owners of everything from a duplex to hundreds of units, and for townhome and condo associations as well. They've been around for 40 years and put on hundreds of seminars, publish a monthly magazine, sell Attorney General approved leases, and have countless other tools for property owners. While they are a membership organization, all of their resources and seminars and their annual convention and their spring conference and their orientation programs are open to everyone. For more information, visit the website, mmha.com.
That is a great organization, folks. MHA, a great resource to have. Another great resource is the What's New newsletter that we put out here at Where You Live and at New Concepts Management. It's a bi-monthly newsletter. A lot of the topics we cover on the show are covered in further detail. We have a lot of contributing writers, people that are guests on the show. Great resource. Over 23,000 people think so. All you need to do to start receiving your subscription free is give us a call at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori, and she'll make sure that you start receiving that subscription electronically or by mail. Well, let's turn our attention now to this last story. And this comes out of Baltimore, Maryland, and it's real interesting. There is a place called the Columbia Association, and they're asking for a separate dispensation from the Maryland State Legislature. They are an HOA, a homeowners association, a nonprofit organization. They are incorporated as such and have been since 1967. But they're asking now that the state would look at them differently and allow them to have different guidelines that they fall under. What do you think about something like this? It's interesting. Just to put this in perspective, like I said at the beginning of the show, Columbia Association is huge. They are very large. They encompass 10 villages located in Howard County in Maryland. Now, just to give you an idea of their size, the 2010 census that just got finished 2 years ago said that the Columbia Association has membership of over 99,000 people or homes. 99,615 to be exact. Let's put this in perspective. We said earlier on the show today that the average size of a homeowners association is 80 to 100 units. We have one association that's quite large in Minnesota called Jonathan. And a lot of you have heard about them. They're out by Chaska. Jonathan, I believe, has over 8,000 some homes that it represents in a number of sub-associations. Well, this association, the Columbia Association, is probably 120 times larger than Jonathan. Probably a little over, I guess that would be a little bit, you double that again, you have about a little bit 10,000 times over the average size of the average homeowner association if it's 80 units. So you can see we're talking about some large numbers. Anyway, the Columbia Association said they've gone to the state legislature and they said we want to be looked at differently. The legislators seem to have an issue with that. And there's another group that is trying to prevent that from happening. And let's get into this story. The Columbia Association Board last fall made a request at the legislature asking if they could be looked at differently. If they said their association lawyer proposed legislation redefining Columbia Association as a nonprofit community service corporation rather than a homeowners association, because they say we serve several purposes. We have different purposes than the average homeowner association. Well, what are those different purposes? We talked about at the beginning of the segment that the Columbia Association was created back in 1967. Think back of what things were like back in 1967. And they were created at that time, and of course now nowhere near the 99,000 plus homes that we're talking about, but they were created as a homeowners association, a new thing, and they said we want to be this entity, this nonprofit entity called a homeowners association. Why? A couple of things was they wanted to be able to eliminate some of the current subdivision design, architectural design that you would have to conform to if it were just a single-family home. Think about it. With a homeowners association, they're usually given a special dispensation because it's a denser form of living with the number of units on land. And because of that, there are certain things, restrictions, that are removed from a homeowners association that a regular neighborhood wouldn't have. What would one of those be, for example? How about roads? If you go into a homeowners association, you'll find that it's a private road, not a public road, which is why the association needs to take care of it, not the city or municipality where the association is. And one of the reasons why is because it'll be narrower. And the reason it'll be more narrow is because you have more units and more homes that you're trying to fit on a smaller parcel of property than you would with single-family homes. And so back, people wanted that. They got those special dispensations. It was also, Columbia was also one of the first to also make it very clear in their governing documents that they wanted to help eliminate racial, religious, and class segregation, which was a big issue. Well, now here they are turning to the legislature and saying, we want to be considered a separate organization. And their main reason for that is they said what's required of a homeowners association now in terms of what needs to be disclosed to homeowners just takes too much of our time. Because we've got so many more people than the average homeowners association, so we think we ought to be, ought to have this special dispensation and not be required to give that same information out to other homeowners. What do you think about that? I have some issue with that. If you're a homeowners association, you have formed what was called those governing documents. It's a contract with all the other owners of that property to say how you're going to abide by and what rules you're under. To say to everyone, yes, this is what we agreed to, but now make that change. If you want to make that change, Columbia Association, I would think you need to go through the process that any other HOA would need to go through. And what is that? You don't go to the legislature asking for them to recognize you differently. You look at your governing documents and it says you need a supermajority of a certain percentage of people if you want to disband, if you want to change those governing documents and how you relate to one another. And that's going to usually be anywhere between 67, 75% or more of the homeowners. And I think it's kind of, I can see why they're doing it, but I think the Columbia Association needs to go back to their governing documents and understand that a contract is a contract is a contract. Well, hey, that's all the time that we've got for today's show. Folks, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of the weekend. We look forward to having you here next Saturday on Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
To be loved by